All right, Michele Crosmer and Dr. Hashmi here with Plant-Based Kidney Health. Dr. Hashmi, we get asked this a lot, I feel like. Can you use the sauna if you have kidney disease?
Yeah, so what an interesting question, right? I'm actually a very big fan of saunas, the steam saunas specifically, but it's only because ice baths, I can't tolerate it. I have this thing where all of a sudden all my muscles cramp up at the same time, and I literally it looks like I'm about to go into rhabdo. So ever since I was a kid, I can't go into cold. If I do, I go skiing and stuff like that, but I have to be layers because if I get exposure, yeah, I'm pretty much done for. So, that being the case, everybody asks about the fact that can you use a sauna? What's really interesting is we actually have really good data. So there are cross-sectional studies that have looked at populations where people are going inside saunas versus those that are not. How do they end up having the incidence of kidney disease at that moment in time? So that's cross-sectional. Then there are longitudinal studies, which means we have followed people over a span of times, let's say 10 years, etc., going on to see was the incidence or the occurrence of kidney disease higher. So let me just put the punchline away right away, which is the answer is saunas are safe. There's a study. This was by, I think it's the last name is Kunatzer and colleagues. This is the European Journal of Clinical Investigation 2023. They basically had a 25.7-year medial follow-up. And what they showed was there was no difference in CKD incidence between one sauna per session per week versus 4 to 7 sauna sessions per week. So that should put that question to rest, that so far there's no evidence to dictate that you're in any concern. Obviously, some of the most common sense stuff is, look, can you go in there if you're really dehydrated? Could you pass out? Of course you can. So you have to use the common sense logic with all of those things and realize if you're on multiple blood pressure medicines, etc., you got to be careful. But all that being said, in terms of developing kidney disease, no. In terms of worsening kidney disease, no. But that's not where the interesting part ends. The interesting part about saunas is how they do so many amazing things. There are these things called heat shock proteins. And heat shock proteins, as the name implies, you need shock and you need heat to turn them on. So when you're exposed to higher temperatures briefly, heat shock proteins wake up. And what's really cool about them is they will cause mitochondria to start to function better. Remember, our mitochondrial function goes down with aging. So what's really cool about sauna, now a very similar thing occurs when you do ice baths. It's a little different mechanism, but the end product is still similar, is that you have improved mitochondrial functioning. You have improved blood flow to the brain. With the heat shock proteins, you're getting vasodilation. You're sending more blood to the brain. You also see that if you're somebody who works out a lot, you have much better recovery from acidosis because of the fact that all that lactic acid that's building up, you're going to be able to clear that out. We also see that it can improve your immune response to infections, etc., because of the fact that your white blood cell production goes up. And here's what's really interesting. One of the ways that we form heat shock proteins is exercise. So the $1 million question is could exercise be the reason why, one of the reasons why there's so many benefits to it is heat shock proteins? I mean, I think that would be difficult to say that it's one thing only. Exercise has so many benefits, but how cool is that? If you're somebody who says, I can't afford a sauna, can you afford to walk? Can you afford to run? Can you afford to bike? Can you afford to, put a resistance band that costs $2 in your door and start doing some rows? There are so many different ways to exercise. Can you dance? Whatever your modality is, exercise can cause heat shock proteins to be formed and generated, which can have similar benefits, not identical, similar benefits to what you're getting out of a sauna. Thanks so much, guys, for checking out this episode.
Thanks, guys.